So for the authenticator, this phone here, these are the two phones I have. And this one with the case, it's even busted up. This one here is for communication. But I don't have anything else installed on this phone. It's Apple, but I don't use it for anything other than talk and text. That's it. I don't even have my email on here. This device, I use it as an extension of my laptop. So it has apps on it and it's got everything on it, but it's extended from my laptop. So this one is the device that I have, Authy. This one, I only use this if I have to confirm something by text. Because sometimes I'll come across, like for instance, I have a secondary email that I use. That secondary email, I need to use this for two-factor authentication. So they'll send me a text and I'll get it there. But otherwise, I don't use this. Whenever I can, I put it on my Authy. Does that help? I know I kind of went down the rabbit hole there a little bit, but I want to make sure. I use both of them for two-factor authentication. This one, only if I have to do it by text. Most of the time, I can do it with Authy. So I'll use this device. But for clarity, this device, I never use it for phone. So I have that separation between phone communications and data communications. Two separate identifiers.
And your data communications phone is synced with your computer.
That's right. Yep. Hello, Audrey.
Hey, I have to come to Rocky Mountain House and you've got to help me with all of it, put it all together.
Oh, something happened to your microphone. I think it got covered up or something. I can't hear you.
I'm just saying that I think I have to come to Rocky Mountain House to figure all that out because it's confusing for me. I have all the, but I don't know how to use them all well.
Yeah. And you know, the fact of the matter is I don't use it I use it so much this way. I don't use it from a perspective of I'm learning how to do it. It becomes second nature to me where it's like, no, I don't even get confused. It's like this thing here barely, like I don't usually use this. I don't even usually take it with me when I'm going for a walk or whatever. I treat this like the old landlines that stayed at home. This one here, I don't mind. Like I use it. I have no protection on this thing. Data wise, I'm not even concerned with what's on it because it's not associated with the digital ID. Sorry, the 10-digit phone number. The SIM card, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm wanting to set up because I have another phone.
Yeah.
Right? So I guess I want to set that up. Plus I want to set up what you have to record all the time. I still can't figure that out.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, I got two devices for that. So if I'm out in the mountains or whatever, I'll actually use this. Or when I'm doing like a book study, I use this, even though it's the phone that I use for text. It's not connected to any data. So I want to make sure that my recordings are segregated. So this isn't connected to my data device. This one here, I can safely record. And normally, like right now, I'm recording, so I don't need to. But here in about 45 minutes after market analysis, Ian is coming to this coffee shop and we're going to meet up. I'm just going to click, push record, and we both got microphones.
That's what I want.
That's all. Yep. You want to have that set up so that you've got that segregation between devices as much as possible.
And I think, Paul, I'm a visual. You can tell me all day, but you can go this does this and this is how we do it. And
That's why it really, I'm noticing more and more. It's actually difficult for me to present this stuff online simply because it's all so ambiguous when it's digital. You can't see it.
So why don't I come down there and we video it, setting it all up? I'll just come set the motorhome up in front of your place for a day or two.
Yeah.
And then we can do that.
Awesome.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
We'll coordinate when to do that. It's in being fixed, hopefully for the last time
Yeah.
today.
Good. And that's yeah, I know. That situation, I'm hoping that resolves very soon for you, because I see that having taxed a lot of your time and energy over the last 2-3 months disproportionately.
Unbelievably, yes.
Yeah.
So no matter what happens, it doesn't matter to me anymore. I'm just gonna be moving on. I'm in
Yep.
the motorhome now. I'm all moved out of there. Yeah, that's
Good.
another story.
Yep.
So
Okay, I'm going to bring up some Hangout content here. I'm going to bring up the charts, but we're going to start off with this chart right here. I can't do my fancy screen share where I point at the screen today, but that's okay.
are you in Edmonton?
Yep.
Ah, we should meet up. I'm in Edmonton.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Well, I'm here at Remedy Cafe until whenever today, and then tomorrow's busy.
That's okay, because so today I'm probably done at 1:30, and then I don't have anything until 5. Okay, I'll
Come
pop
on
in.
down.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Where is Remedy Cafe? Sorry.
Remedy Cafe in Terwilliger.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
drop a pin. I'll drop a pin for you.
Yeah, just put it in the Telegram for me if you
Will
could.
do.
That'll be awesome. I'll pop in.
Yep. And I think that should do it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, awesome. This chart, I gotta remember to point now the opposite way. You can see right at the very beginning there where it's red, those first 2 red squares. The first red square is 1929. That was at a peak when the markets were amazing. And then the big dirty 30s happened, and you can see how it went down. This is the stock market against gold. So when this chart goes down, it takes less gold to buy the stock market, or to buy a unit of the index. Then it took some time, and just before the 70s, the price was great. Look at how awesome the markets were. It took almost 3 ounces of gold to buy the market that day. They couldn't stand that. That wasn't good. So they had to drop it back down again, make it cheap. And so then they depegged the dollar from gold, and during that yellow block of time, the stock markets became less valuable, considerably less valuable. In fact, the ratio was down to 0.17 ounces, just under 20% of 1 ounce. Then, what happened? The digital age came upon us. And within 20 years, the dot-com bubble demanded 5 ounces. That is huge. That's that's not 500%. That's like 3,000%. 30x. Is that right? Almost 30 times. The significance of this, at first might be like, oh, what does this have to do with anything? The dot-com bubble introduced the first wave of the Great Reset. People were talking to them, how COVID was, oh, this is just getting ready for the Great Reset. I'm like, no. They're closing off the Great Reset. They're finishing things up. Already throughout the 80s, people were putting these little printing presses into their living rooms. And there were even offices being built. More offices, home offices were being built throughout the 90s because people were getting computers, work centers. And that dot-com bubble, the markets crashed. But of course, it was just a transference of wealth, went from one form into the other. Then we see the 2008 financial crisis. And then after the crisis, there was the post-crisis low, where it was back down to 0.6 of an ounce. From 5 ounces to 0.6 of an ounce. That's a 12x spread. You could buy 12 times as much of the stock market. Or the stock market, rather, went up 12 times in value after the dot-com bubble. Because it was so cheap. COVID, we heard how COVID was like the Great Reset. So start of the Great Reset. Look at how COVID barely moved the charts. That's that final red square over on the side. Barely touched it. And right now we're seeing the price today, like the mean price of 2025. The price of the stock market this is the S&P 500, the top 500 companies in America.
So is it on the uptrend or back onto the downtrend?
Oh, it's back on the downtrend already. Because
so it's just hitting the, what is that? The late 60s high. That's it.
Yep. That's right. But last time they did this, the last time they stifled the markets stifled the value of gold and silver. The last time they did that, and I shouldn't even say stifled. They can't really do anything to it. It's that they hide it. They hide it through making it look like things were good. They're going to make it look like the market's going great, but the gold is not, like the gold prices are going to prove them otherwise. And so it's going to become cheaper and cheaper. The markets they're going to look like they're going up. That's what inflation does. But the fact of the matter is it's going the opposite direction. They're lying in the wrong direction. But the reason I'm bringing this chart up, and the reason why I find this incredibly valuable, is that we are conditioned to believe that COVID changed things. Well, since COVID, the value of the S&P 500 really hasn't budged. The Dow Jones, the top 30, different story. Because those companies are the ones who are primarily the top 30 companies. So we're talking like currency level stuff, right? This is like a wider spectrum of the American economy. They don't base the currency off of this one. But this is a good chart for us to follow. And I haven't been following it because I'm more of a currencies guy than I am the markets guy, right? But this shows you another perspective. And what I think is going to happen is that they're going to make it look like, so it'll get cheap, but the next phase, remember this is .com bubble, was where everybody, like that's where the markets just went crazy, ballistic. We're going to see that first, in answer to your question, Audrey, but it will crash on the other side. So I believe, and this is a kind of a shift from how I've been thinking, but it's because of the posturing that Trump has accomplished with the masses. People are seeing him as the savior of the economy, and I believe that that's because he's going to be the one to usher in the next phase, but it's going to be .com bubble level phase. The internet is what made the .com bubble possible. And I remember how I've been saying AI is the equivalent, but that we're going to see it amplified even more simply because there's multiple factors of hundreds of people more than last time. Already digital. ChatGPT alone has 1 billion users. 1 billion users. If we're taking the population of the world into account, that's 1/7 of the world. And when we take a look at the developed world, that's 1/5 of the world. There's only 5 billion people in the developed world. If we're going by their numbers, I don't actually believe them to be true, but if there's 1 billion users, we look at the math, that's 20% of the world is on ChatGPT alone.
What do you call the developed world?
We're talking a developed world where you're not third world, where you're not below the world poverty level, where you're able to, go and find yourself a job. You're able to, secure property in some way, shape, or form. You're able to build wealth in some way, shape, or form. You might be socialist, but you might be developed in the sense that your labor results in you being able to supply your family with house and home. So COVID didn't do anything. COVID barely moved the notch, right? And so, yeah, I see us now like the equivalent of what it was in the early 90s. The chart pattern looks very similar to what we would have seen, leading up to the 80s. A little bit of a squiggly line. I think that, think about it. What we have going on right now, this fear, and there's still so much. Again, last weekend I had a chat with someone, a great guy, but he's so caught up in the drama. He believes that, the risk of oil and fertilizer being cut off through the Strait of Hormuz, that poses a risk to the world. It doesn't. It's fabricated. It's a fabricated shortage. I mean, Audrey Lynn was just looking at the numbers. Canada, so 90% of Canada's production of fertilizer, the raw materials for fertilizer, potash, 90% of it, of Canada's exports come from Saskatchewan. And Canada comprises of 32% of the world's supply for fertilizer. The Strait of Hormuz, it's like ranked below the top 10. There's like, oh, they're going to take away the fertilizer production going through the Strait of Hormuz. That doesn't actually mean anything. People were saying how it was going to result in billions of people's food supplies going to be ruined this year. And it's like, no. The Middle East actually doesn't produce very much fertilizer at all. They use petrochemicals, but the actual raw material, the potash, doesn't come from there. They got to import that shit. Well, then let's go. Okay, well, then it must be the oil, right? That 20% of that oil, that is just a terrible blow to the oil reserves. No, again, there is so much oil. The problem that we have, and this is what we've been talking about the last few weeks in particular, the problem that we have in Canada, we have all the oil that we need. We can be self-sufficient and be an exporter. Already we're an exporter, but it's at a whole different level. And this is the problem. The people have consistently been voting in such ways that makes it where the monetary policies of Canada are now under the jurisdiction of China. What? How did that happen? Well, again, like I said, people wanted to vote into a system where there was no representation, thinking that there was representation. And so then they voted and voted and voted. And what happened was that all of the mineral, natural resource production, everything in natural resource production is now owned by China, either directly or indirectly. We've got these companies that like Nexen is a great example of this. Nexen, it's a Canadian started company, but then they just got sold. This was years ago. They got sold to a Chinese firm. That still operates under the same name, so everybody thinks it's the same brand, but completely different owner. All of the gold, every single gold mine is a Chinese owned company. The company that does the mining is Chinese owned. So Canada, we have everything that we need to be completely self-sufficient, where even in fact, there would be no risk the global supply for either fertilizer or oil. That's how much Canada could buffer this situation. It's a fabricated crisis, just like the dot-com bubble was. And this time, they're going to make it look like the economy is great, and it's going to take you so much gold to get into this thing, but they have to make it where you have to sign up. This is the wealth transfer. You're looking at how it happened in the dot-com bubble. This is how it's happening today.
Okay. You said sign up. Sign up for what? To be totally
in
the AI system.
Yeah, you're gonna have to sign up for AI. You're gonna have to sign up for a digital ID. You're gonna have to sign up for all this stuff. Otherwise, you're just gonna be, a dinosaur.
But that's okay, just as long as you're only putting on that hat as a citizen whenever you need one.
That's right.
It's
That's
just
right. I'm not scared of it.
The seat you're sitting in, right?
The reason
whatever
people,
seat you're sitting in.
That's right. Whatever seat you're in, and that's why most people are like the people who have been programmed to be scared of the digital ID. The reason why they're actually falling for the fear is because they have no idea who they are. They've never even taken the time to digitally identify themselves, other than through someone else's digital identifiers. You're absolutely right. I'm not scared of. I'm honestly not concerned about it at all. I'll probably sign up. We're one of the first people to sign up for it because I'm not scared of it. What is it? Oh, it's just this little collection of ones and zeros that's attributed to data that is recorded as having been created by a citizenship. Well, I just showed you. My citizenship has a number, but I don't have any data going through it. I talk and text. That's it. So I don't have any data on there. This thing here, this is where all my data is, but I don't have any identifiers that are related to the citizenship on this device, nor on my computer. That's why I can mirror these two without any security, because there's no digital identifier that has anything related to the digital identifier that's associated with my citizenship. Here, I still showing that chart. I could make myself a little bit bigger there. So yeah, the fear that people have is because they don't know who they are, and they go around, just attributing all the data to their person, to the person that the government created for them. And yeah, they should be very scared if they're going to continue doing that, but they don't have to be scared because they can stop identifying themselves that way digitally.
Okay. Can I say something, Paul? Or just what's coming
Please
up
do,
for me?
yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not being critical of what you've said at all. Because you know where you're at and who you are, but as citizens, or myself, I just got to talk about me. I refer to things so much coming from the mindset of a citizen, and like you're mentioning China and Trump as the United States, and we always measure things to the U.S. dollar. And none of that is real. There's all these, not the SP 500. What's your Dow 30? That control the whole thing, that create these stories, and we recognize these government bodies as doing something, or this is my interpretation or judgment at the moment, as doing something, but all they are doing is protecting those Dow 30 corporations, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yesterday, you're saying the same thing. Well, what you're doing is you're amplifying what Wayne said yesterday on his show. These guys, they're getting raises. These MPs, they're getting raises. Well, where did that money come from? How did that happen? How does that get to be? Well, it's because they don't serve the people, right? They serve the corporations at the top of that chain. You know what I mean? Yeah, and their job is to make sure that all of the people, they make sure that all of them stay inside the illusionary little dome, the metaverse, right? That's their job. They're not there to help the people prosper. They're not even there to really do anything other than make sure that China's competitors don't have the mineral rights in the land. Their job is just to make sure that China maintains their mineral rights. And in order to do that, they got to project from the top of that dome, they got to project down the imagery, the simulation for everybody to look at and say, this is real. That's their job. And that's why they're getting raises. It's because they're doing a good job. That's what happens in the workforce. You do a good job, you get raises. People are like, "Oh, that's ridiculous. Why are they getting raises? That's not fair." No, actually, that is fair.
And then they say, it's our tax dollar.
Yeah,
They
right.
tax our course to keep us broke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, hell.
All right, I'm gonna do this with. I only got the one screen, so I gotta be frugal with my screen real estate here and make sure. Okay, yeah, that's visible. Okay.
Thank you.
So today we are readjusting. This is the Dow Jones. Again, the reason I go back and forth, or now it seems like I'm going back and forth. This one here is more representative of the value of the currency because these are the top 30 companies. These are the powerhouses that basically dictate the value of the currency. That S&P 500, that one's more so a general view of the economy in general. Very, very much more spread out. So what we're doing here is to determine, we use this to determine the true rates of fluctuation in the value of the US dollar. And today we can see that we've got an increase over this last couple of weeks from the low that we saw on March 30th. Now we're, and what is this, 10 days in, 10 days into April. We've come back up 6%. However, you can see that we didn't go up 6% in the price of gold, did we? If it was 6% in the price of gold, we would have saw this be, 0.6 of an ounce instead of 6/100ths of an ounce go up. So now we're just going to make this, oops, grab the wrong one. Now we just got to update. The reason why we're updating is because we have a new low. That low is now a marker. In the past, I've been marking the lows and the highs. Well, we just formed this new low, confirmed. So now we got to track the live numbers, and we'll leave this one here as a marker so that we can compare the prices as we move through this. So the silver prices, got to take the price of the US 30.47, 8.97. We divide that by silver, 76. What are we at? 76.25. 629 ounces. Look at that. It's actually gotten cheaper since the low. Market says it's gone up 6%. We actually lost 6 ounces. Is that right? 10 ounces. We lost 10 ounces of silver. They're lying in the wrong direction.
Price of silver is $75 an ounce right now.
Yep. US 76.25. And we're out of this box now. We are still following this long-term trend line, so I'm going to keep it for now. I don't know, does that show up with my, when I do that with the mouse, does it show up? I can't see both screens at the same time. When I do this, do you see the circle? No, it doesn't look like it.
No.
Okay,
I
that's okay.
see your-
You just see the crosshair. You don't see the circle on top of it, eh? Okay, no worries.
Correct.
Gold prices actually gaining against silver at the moment. That's why we've been seeing, oh, no, it has not gained. Actually, look at that. Still consolidating the gold silver ratio around that 62 ounce level. oil prices, they had that volatility there earlier this week on Wednesday. Now it's probably going to just peter out for the rest of the week here at this level, $98. It's okay. Again, if the oil prices go up, futures are going up, so it makes sense. Oil prices will go up. Those futures are anticipating good things, and therefore Canada should be anticipating good. Oh, no, wait. China can anticipate good things since Canada surrendered all of their mineral rights and monetary policy to China. Good job, Canadians. Wonder when you're going to stop. That'd be great. Amazon still rising from that, actually rising at quite the pace here. Up 15% in the last week. Oracle actually dropping in the same period of time, 9%. Google, after that jump up from that pivot point, jumped up 5%. It's been hovering there ever since. It's got to get up above this old resistance line. Here, I'll mark that. That's a pretty significant level. If we can get above that, that would be the sign that we're headed for higher numbers. Let's go and make this resistance 1. Palantir dropping below that pivot point, losing some strength. This week alone went from that high on Wednesday down to today's low, 20% drop. That's a pretty significant drop. But you know what? We're in this realm of digitals, right? And so digital space has got a lot of fluctuation, a lot of volatility right now. And will for the next 2-3 years. Nvidia bounced off of that zone there from last week. 11 days later, now up 23%. From a technical analysis perspective, we'll see whether or not it can get up above this area. If it can't, like if we don't see that happen next week, it'll probably come down and form another low. We'll see though. It's a critical zone. Anything could happen. Japanese markets rising again, taking advantage of all that inflation that they're willing to pump into the markets or into the currency.
Okay, I have
Japanese. Yeah.
Okay. To get my mind thinking in the realm straight the way it's working, whenever anything's rising of a fiction, or maybe I used just dollars, not look at crypto or anything, that rising, it's people, okay, from what I'm taught is, our dollar's going up. But really, well, you use our Life Force Energy example, has just went down in the below our feet when that dollar's gone up.
Yep.
And so, like you said, the Japanese dollar's rising there, but all it's taken was versus a handful of dollars it took 6 months ago. Now it's taken an armful of dollars to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's the way we're trained, where we came from, grew up in. It's just not even. What am I trying? Yeah, I guess I can't. It hasn't gone becoming less worthless, but we're under the understanding. Oh, it's rising, it's rising. Well, just like you're using gold to the markets of the SP 500 and the Dow Jones.
Yep.
I guess I'll just shut up. I'm starting to comprehend it sometimes correctly now.
This is great, and I'm so appreciative you taking time to put me on pause, and you can reflect what you're hearing, because the more you do that, the even more you have it internalized. You're on the yeah. Thank you very much for interrupting. Your understanding of this is more important to me than my understanding of this. So your reflections are always welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for letting me be shared, because I gotta talk it. For me, just to listen to it, I don't learn. Just like I gotta write down
Yeah.
notes and then I comprehend it.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting you bring that up, because in Africa, wherever there was teachers, there's like our adversary that goes in with missionaries and start up schools in Africa and all that stuff, and they always do it wrong because they do it the North American way. But the people that actually value education, they recognize something about human nature, and that is we learn more from teaching than we do from doing. And so what they do is that they get the kids to talk to each other about the subjects. In fact, they get the grade 3ers to teach the grade 1ers, because then the grade 3er has a greater comprehension of the material, and the grade 1ers are learning from a peer. They're not learning from someone that's going like this at the front of the school. So you're not alone in how you're learning this. Everybody should be learning by teaching. So you're bringing it up, you're voicing it. That's what's solidifying the knowledge for you.
Okay, so what's coming up for me right now? So we see that Jap Ying rising, becoming worthless. So when our dollar is going down compared to the US dollar that they talk about amongst the masses, it costs me more out of my pocket when I want to get a book or some piece of merchandise from the States, but really our value's gone up. In fact, then, but
Yeah.
But on the other hand, when we want to have some material or something in subjective, it wouldn't fucking cost us more how they've rigged this system.
Yep.
You know what's really making me able to understand this now is this Matrix. Like that movie's got everything in it.
Yeah.
How they
Yep.
programmed it. And those two brothers that started that movie, I don't know, they were gods.
Divinely inspired. 100%. Divinely inspired.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for letting me I'll listen now.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think maybe not next week. We'll see what happens here. Things are so busy for me right now, but I want to do a watch party where we watch The Matrix together and we push pause and we talk about what that scene was and how that relates. That'll be a fun night. Okay, let's go back to this. There we go. All right. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. When you see like this is rising, right? This price action going up, that's a 4%. That's 4% in the last 51 days. That's 4% more expensive for the Japanese people. So that means that the Japanese people, they got to work 4% harder to make the same money that they did 51 days ago. Just like you were saying. Hey, Maureen, good to see you. How are you?
Oh, here I'm on. I just wanted to come in. I kept wanting to come in. Am I making breakfast? That I wanted to come in and just check in and see what you guys are doing today.
Oh yeah, we're having fun. Yeah, we're having fun. You know, this brings up
I'm going to
Gary.
listen.
I'm going to bring. Okay, perfect. Gary, I'm going to bring up the United States dollar against the Canadian dollar, and we'll see just how things have progressed over the last little while. We actually had a pretty big spike back in February of last year, where it was $1.47 Canadian to get $1 US. It's down from that. So it's down 6% from that time. But in the same period of time, let's bring up that US 30. February 2025. Look at that. That was like right after. Yeah, that's right. That was right after the that was right in the middle of the tariffs being announced. Well, since that time, economy reads 11% increase. But in gold, it's considerably cheaper. Before, it was around probably 15 ounces. Now it's 10. So that means that even though the markets are showing, oh, look at, since February 2025, markets have fluctuated, but they're up 11%. No, they're down 50%. So even though that USD Canadian dollar, even though it's saying, oh, look, it's so much better, 5% down, no, that's 45% up. So it shows, yeah, now it's only $1.38 Canadian to get a US dollar. Yeah, but look how much harder I have to work to get the US dollar now. 50%. That's in just over a year.
I'm so glad you're doing this and doing cross the line comparisons and all that. It just seems so intelligent.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And whenever I hear those words, I'm humbled because when I was born, it was not a good situation. And the doctors told my mom within 5 minutes, because it took me 40 minutes to breathe. Once I did start breathing, the doctor told my mother that I would be lucky if I had the capacity of speech. So I'm very, very humbled when people say, that's so smart. I was not supposed to be smart.
I love surprising people like that.
Yeah. Yeah, God has a way of doing that too, eh? You are like God, surprising people all the time. Okay. Bitcoin this week has been really bouncing from under, just like a zero grav situation where the ceiling is moving downwards, and the ball just bounces up against the ceiling, but it bounces less and less every single time as we're forming. I'm going to go zoom in. Look at this. On that 2-hour chart, we can see just bouncing, and like harder bounces against that ceiling. That's a breakout waiting to happen. All week long. Started April 7th, where it spiked up. Everybody was excited there beginning of the week. Whoa, look at, we're up 5% in a day. 4 hours. And it's just been bouncing up against that, and we're going to see a breakout here soon. When that breaks out, yeah, man, that's a tough one. This resistance line, it might just push the price back down for one more test. But this is showing a buildup of energy on the way up. Ethereum. We're watching this one too because this one here is kind of the digital silver as Bitcoin is the digital gold.
Paul, just a second. In that, when you say breakout, does that mean to go up or to go to just go either way?
Yeah, a breakout is either way, but when we see it butting up against one pivot point repeatedly, it's usually going to continue. That's typically what happens. See, right now, even again, an exception to the rule could be this. This is midnight.
Yeah.
You know, midnight has been bouncing against the bottom. And so the technical analysis says that, yeah, it's going to go down. And if I was trading, I would not be buying right now. But I'm not trading. I'm dollar cost averaging. I'm investing. And so I am going to buy more midnight this week. Probably double how much I already have. Simply because I bought at that my dollar cost average right now is 5.6 cents. So now with it down to 4 cents, you know, people say, oh, but you're down 27%. Yeah, but that just means that I'll be able to buy 27% more than I did last time with the same amount of money.
So just understanding this breakout phenomena, is that what it's called, a breakout? What
Yep.
it means, a breakout?
Yeah.
So you see it bouncing like say midnight, and we were watching Bitcoin. So it's bouncing, and you see like this is bouncing down. I mean, it's going up, but not quite going up to the previous high, and it just keeps going like this. You know what I'm saying? Just this pattern.
Yeah.
And so the breakout, tell me what that means. Again, let me hear it again.
Yeah, absolutely. I will actually just quickly draw a line here because, like you're saying, it's going down and down and down. There's the line. Let's go find a breakout. Let's bring up, you know what, actually, Bitcoin. No, you know what? Gold is going to be a good example of breakouts. We're going to zoom in on the 1 hour chart.
Okay.
And we're going to start right here. So the price came from above and I can't point at it. Look at me just reactively going like this.
I went right to the top. Whatever that was.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a trend line. That trend line shows price dropping.
Okay.
And then it breaks out of that trend right
okay.
here.
It's a trend line. Okay.
Yep, that's right. And then we had another breakout a little bit later because what we saw, the price came back up again. Here's a trend line. Price came back up again, and then it braked out going downwards below that trend line.
Okay, I get it. So it's a breakout according to the trend line that's has been established by the up and down and all that. Okay, so now
that's right.
Curious, what is gold today and what is Bitcoin? Just for my reader's mind.
Yeah. Gold today is 47.60.
Okay.
We are currently it's 17% rise to come back to the all-time high. So recovery is 17% right now.
Okay.
Then Bitcoin sitting at 73,000 at the moment. And I'll even bring up Bitcoin gold ratio.
Yeah.
Currently 15.35 ounces of gold to get 1 Bitcoin. 15.3.
Okay.
Yep.
What do you think the psychology of having Bitcoin be so much more than gold?
I think the psychology of that is, where should people put their value? Right? Like it's like a programming thing, no different than anything else in the matrix, right? It's like, look at how much more Bitcoin is worth compared to the US 30. 50% worth 50% more.
Yeah.
do you mean Bitcoin is worth 50% more than the US 30?
Oh yeah, great question. So here's the chart right now. We just did the math on this one. That's the US 30 divided by the price of gold. That comes up with 10. So it's 10 ounces to get one index of the US 30. 10 ounces. But gold, you need 15 ounces to get one Bitcoin. So it looks like Bitcoin is worth more because it takes 15 ounces of gold to get that versus 10 ounces to get the US 30.
Yeah.
It used to be back in the day when TradingView, the TradingView is the software that I use to chart. That's what this is called. It's called charting. So when I first got TradingView, they had way more features for free. You could build your own charts. You could just be like, oh, I want to take the ratio between ADA and the Dow Jones. You used to be able to do that kind of thing. Can't do that anymore. They don't let you do that. And I don't know why. It makes sense to me that they would be able to continue. But that's why I always like finding charts where it's very obvious. Like this one here, I love this chart because you can see the price of Bitcoin, how that has evolved over time. Even though we know here's the high, right? This is where it was 37 ounces to get 37 ounces of gold to get one Bitcoin. You can see every time it was 37. The first time was April 2021. Bitcoin was only $70,000, but it was 37 ounces of gold. Then later on, we didn't see those prices come back again until December 2024. But this time, when it was 37 ounces of gold, it was $108 US, $108,000 US. And then it came back again, this time 126,000. But the gold was the same. So that's another way that you can see how much value the US dollar has lost
Mhm.
against both
Yeah.
Bitcoin and
So the third would be the dollar in there to keep in focus. Relationship. Excuse me.
Yep. It's before you came, Maureen, we were talking about how it's the politician's job to make sure that we stay inside the kingdom of illusion. That's their job. And to the degree that they can do that, they can maintain the powers that be above them can maintain control. Because that's what all this boils down to. How do they control the value of your life force energy? BitTensor fluctuating a bunch over the last day or two.
Paul, I do have a question. They're almost done. Don't worry about it. I'm wondering the quantum idea that and that when you put an observer in, see, you're observing this particular unique part of what's happening, and so can you imagine the impact that has on even just one observer? And I'm sure you're not the only one, just because that's probably the intelligent or the bigger picture that some people would be interested in. So anyway, I posit that in the sense that the observer effect has
Sure does. Sure does. In fact, a lot of people don't know this, but when we write something down, the act of writing it down manifests what we're writing down because we're putting both thought and form to our language. That's why they have us go to school and write down all the lies because they want to manifest their lies so that their fiction can have more reality. So we sit there in school and we literally write down all the lies to manifest their world. Imagine if we had control and jurisdiction over the education system. What could we create? If we put that time, those are the young, impressionable minds. The most manifesting force, life force energy that we have is in our youth. Imagine if we put that to such good use that we were writing down the truth from the time that we were, 5 till we were 20. Imagine that. But instead, we the people allow our adversary to govern our education. And then we wonder why society is so messed up.
Today I was going to come on the call earlier, but a neighbor came by and she's 16. She is like the personification of innocence. I mean, she comes in and she said, I just want to help you, in the garden. I want to do some stuff this month. I'm busy, but next month. And I said, what would be really good? Because Ron and I were looking at this whole thing about the dew point of water and creating little projects to have the water be come from the dew point, So I said, why don't you do this? And I showed her the YouTube one of the YouTubes that's available about how to do this and how it's been successful in other parts of the world and why it was shelved and all of that. But the innocence is so impactful to see someone she's been homeschooled. So all this, the innocence is like amazing. You're getting warm in your room, huh? You got the sun coming in.
Yeah, I know it's
yeah. So I was just, I'm just not used to people being innocent. And here she was, or at least entering my world at that level. And then wanting to be really careful about my thoughts and everything, wanting to be gentle with this, how the earth is being planted now. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
She's this beautiful, innocent 16. She's first coming out of the world, from her family into our world, I made a joke because I said, well, we like to wait till the first, the new moon, because when we plant. And I said, oh, that makes me sound like a witch, doesn't it? But I wanted to just see where that would land, You are a witch. Ron says I am a witch, but she did not skip a beat as far as how she was holding us. So I think it's because she's a born again Christian. Their whole family is.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see, because they know I'm an astrologer, but yet I know they like us. They are very kind to us. They just kind in their interaction. So I just wanted to see the impact of that innocence. And, it was like not a beat, not missed beat. So, but I do want to be very careful. And it is that observer effect, I guess, that whole thing. I don't want her, I want to be very conscious of what I'm saying and what I'm introducing to her.
Yeah, of course. That reminds me of a story from the I Ching. I can't remember the name, but there was a king who was being bombarded, and basically his enemies were all around him. And it's not that they were trying to take him over, but they were all competing against each other for the people of his land. Mm-hmm. And the way that he was able to stave them off was simply by being as innocently kind as he possibly could. And that's what kept his people in peace. He had boundaries, but he was also innocently kind. And that the moral of that story, so to speak, was that innocence has a power.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Yeah.
It was very powerful to be in her presence in that.
Mm-hmm.
Purifying. It really was. It was very purifying, and I want to be very conscious of that. Anyway, and maybe that has something to do with what you're saying here, too, about, I don't know how innocence being, what else would we call it? Maybe that's not interesting. I don't know, Paul. I don't mean to
I like
hijack.
No,
hijack your
you're not. This is market analysis. It's like, you know how it's what it's like. We just talk about wherever the winds may take us.
But somehow bringing innocence to this in the sense of the uncorruptible.
Yeah.
I want to be. I don't want to be corrupted. I don't want to corrupt that innocence. That's why I think I'm like, well, how do I handle this with, still be truthful, but what do we do? So it's just, that's how powerful it is. It makes me, wow, how have I been corrupted? Jaded maybe is a better word.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what else were you talking about before I came on? And I really want to be here this morning.
Yeah, we started things off. I'll bring up this picture here. Let's start things off with. Oh wait, that's not it. Thought that was it. There we go. That's the one.
Wow.
This chart. Oh yeah, Ron, you might be interested in this one. This chart shows the S&P 500 against gold, and you can see the fluctuations. This is going across 100 years. Down at the very bottom there on the far left, you can see that's what the peak, the first little red box, it's the peak before the dirty 30s. And then during the dirty 30s, as terrible as it was, really didn't go down that much. And then we had where the market got to be so good leading up to the 70s, where it was almost 3 ounces of gold to get one index of the S&P 500. And then, of course, they had to depeg the currency from gold, which brought that value down to an all-time low of 0.17 of an ounce. And then the 80s, interest rates had to go up and all the rest. And then the 90s started when everybody started putting computers in their living rooms. And then the internet took things off. That's what and this is what we were talking when we first got started. That was the first wave of the Great Reset. That's when, the .coms, now you can get a .com for like $13, $14. You wanted a .com back then, you're paying $100,000.
Wow.
Just like Tulip Fever. Did you ever watch that movie? Tulip Fever? Yeah.
Well, but I know about the Dutch thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a disaster because people were paying, 16 years of wages for a tulip because it just and it wasn't even the tulip, it was the seed that they were willing to buy that the seed came from a rare colored tulip. No guarantee that the seed would actually grow in the same pattern as the tulip was valued. And the same thing with the .com, people going around buying these tulips.com. Yeah. And then, of course, that was over 5 ounces of gold to get one S&P 500. It went up. What is that? What did I say that was? It's 1,000%. Oh, you're muted, Maureen.
the rise is too small. I can't see it. I could probably wear glasses, but
Oh yeah, the font is pretty tiny and I can't zoom in on this one. But that was that all-time high was at the .com bubble peak.
and what was
And then
the
it
old?
dropped. Oh, just over 5 ounces.
Okay.
And it rose from the low of 0.17. One-fifth of an ounce to over 5 ounces. Then it dropped again, found another low, down. I think it was hanging around 0.6 of an ounce there. And then the last little red box, remember how we heard about COVID was just so terrible? It was terrible for the economy. It barely touched the economy in comparison to gold. Barely touched it. And I think that we're headed into another phase. And I've shifted my mentality around this. I thought to myself, yeah, there's going to be a huge crisis. Everything's going to go to shit. Going to be gold is going to go so high, and it's going to be super cheap to get the stocks. But I'm actually of the mind that we're going to see it go up first, where the economy is going to look awesome. There'll be another .com bubble, because this time, instead of people getting these computers in their living rooms, now they're getting AI in the palms of their hands. And that's going to create another .com bubble scenario where, again, it's just looking like things are going to be good, when in fact, it's going to be another horrific rug pull. Zoa, hey, good to see you. We're finishing things up with a quick recap of the last 100 years. This is the chart that's up there. That's the price of gold. Sorry, the price of the S&P 500 priced in gold. 100 years of actual real world value of the American economy.
Does Canada follow kind of in the with the S&P? Are they kind of reading the same signs?
Yeah, we've got the TSX, the Toronto Stock Exchange. So the Toronto Stock Exchange, that's got, I'll put that chart up. You'll see like the TSX. Here's the composite index for the TSX. Like, it looks very similar to what we see with the Dow Jones as far as price action. Where do I go to? I need to remove that one and add this one. There we go. Someone give me some tech support. I'm going to need a tutorial. Maureen, could you set me up with a tutorial on how to use my computer? Here's the price action on the TSX. This is the Toronto Stock Exchange against the Canadian dollar.
Okay.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this one here. I have the ability to switch. So instead of measuring the Toronto Stock Exchange in comparison to the Canadian dollar, I can actually switch this over to the US dollar. And we'll see the price.
Can you do it with the other one in comparison to gold? Can we do it?
I don't think I can gold. I can only do oopsies. I can only do the base currencies. Let's just see though. Maybe I can. Nope, I can't do it in gold. I have to. Then this is why, like doing market analysis, I go to this chart here, which is the US 30, and I record gold and silver prices with these text notes. So right now, we can see that since butting up against the high of 2024, when the Dow Jones was 16 ounces of gold, in comparison to today, even though the Dow Jones shows a 6% increase in value, it's more than 6 ounces cheaper. So it's lost more than 60% of its, that's 30, it's almost 40%. That's almost 40% loss in the value of the economy against gold. So they're lying in the opposite direction. That's why I like to use this chart to really get a sense of the value of the US currency in a more real-time fashion. This ends up, what we see on the trading indexes, or what we call the purchasing power of the US dollar. This gives us an indication of the direction that we're headed. And that's why I've been saying, like, ever since the beginning of the Federal Reserve, technically. But the most clear example of this manipulation is during COVID, where the stock market, the first 2 years, the stock market shows 100% recovery from COVID. But if it was 100% recovery, then groceries would have gone down by half during that time. But they didn't, did they? So we know that this is entirely a fraudulent measurement system, and that what we're seeing is not the value of the Dow Jones going up. We're seeing the value of the dollar drop, like, by half in 2 years.
That's really an important a marker, or it feels, to have that reference in that way, that feels really important for a reality check. I wanted to ask you as well, you're expecting, kind of this heightened thing with the market, or the market to look really good. And would that also be the war economy that we were talking about, Paul? Or
Yes.
I mean, with the AI kind of, you had mapped out the AI bubble that was going to happen. And is there a war economy bubble that is pitted up against that, or to exacerbate whatever trend it is?
Absolutely. I mean, again, Ron, you're going to be able to associate with this chart here. This is called the United States Consumer Price Index. And you barely ever see it go down. There's a few spots where it has a little bit of a retracement, right? But overall, there is not much of a trend. There's only one trend, and that's going up. Well, the reason why it goes up is because the empire must go on. What we're seeing here, this chart here, is no different than what we saw happen with the Roman Empire before it fell, before it collapsed. And the reason we know that is because in history, in the history books, we're talking ancient writings, it talks about how the gold and the coins of that period, they were made with copper, bronze, and gold, and silver. Those were the various metals that they used for the different denominations of currency. Well, as the imperial realm expanded, they had to maintain expansions, and that's expensive. So then what they had to do was that they had to dilute the metals. So they were pouring nickel in with the silver, and they were mixing bronze with the gold, and they were diluting the currencies to the point where if you were Roman and you went somewhere else, you wanted to go traveling, you want to say you wanted to go on a holiday because you were wealthy, the economy was great, as the expansions went on, every expansion boosted the economy. But eventually your expansions aren't paying off for the debts that you incur. And so then you as a traveler, you'd be like, I'm going to go on a holiday. Let's go up to England, for example. I'm going to go visit Gaul because it's a brand new realm that Rome just conquered. So you'd go travel and you'd get there and you would offer the locals the realm of currency, the metaverse attention coin. You do that. And then the locals would say, no. We know currency has been diluted with the bronze that was taken from our land. So we don't recognize the value of the imperial currency as holding its value anymore. So we don't accept it. That's what that's when the crash occurred for Rome, was when people realized the currency wasn't worth anything anymore. Well, this chart is the consumer price index. And I'm just grabbing from 1950, January 1950, and I'm bringing it to today. That's a 1,300% increase of life force energy that you have to contribute in order to make a dollar. Eventually, people are going to be like, yeah, no, that dollar isn't worth anything anymore. Why? Because look at how much life force energy I have to expend to get one. And the war efforts, here's how the US has gotten away with it. This kind of inflation is visible over the long term. But you don't see it on the short term. You don't see it decade to decade because it's like the boiling pot of water. So how do they do it? How do they prevent it from getting rampant? They export their inflation to the countries they invade. Case in point, Iraq. Before the invasion of Iraq, the Iraqi dinar was worth over $3.60. You had to get $3.60 US to get one Iraqi dinar. After that, after the invasion, it only took 6 months. And they pegged the Iraqi dinar to 1/1000th of a dollar. You now had to get 1,000 Iraqi dinar to get $1 US. That's how they kept the American people placated and not experience the inflation that was due because of the war efforts. The American war machine is an inflation exportation device. And it's just catching up.
I hear that and I can visualize it. But tell me the impact. How does it, what are the dynamics of that? So first, and I remember when the Canadian quarter was worth more than the American quarter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was worth more. And now I think Canadian money is worth a little bit less, but it's not that dramatic as like Iran. But tell me, how do they do that? How do you export? I get the thing about that they can change it, but then how did they do that? How do they make their dollar not worth anything?
Oh, they just legislate it by decree. Oh, we're here now. We're in charge now. Your local metaverse's video game console currency is now worth this. Why? Because we said so. You have a new video game developer now. Didn't you read the headlines? That's how they do it. It's literally that simple. Someone lifts their hand and makes a decree. Really different than, like, it's kind of funny, Cowgorithm. We were making jokes about that a couple weeks ago. It's really no different. It's just an upgraded system, right? Now they can do it on an iPad. A farmer can draw his finger on an iPad and build a fence, a digital fence, and the cows have the collar that he can herd them with his finger, right? But I mean, that they've been doing that for centuries, millennia. What they do is that they go on a map and they draw with their finger a border and they say, this is where your currency is. That's the same thing.
So by devaluing their currency, our currency doesn't feel the inflation.
That's right.
Okay. So our bread still costs $2.25 or whatever.
Oh,
But-
man, if the states experienced the inflation that was due, there would have been a revolt over a century ago. I mean, the Vietnamese dong, same idea. The US went in there and disrupted everything, and they lost the war, but the bankers won, and they completely demolished that currency.
I'm just thinking of the peso too. In my lifetime, the peso had much more of a value when I remember because I went to school there in the early 60s, and I think it was like 8 pesos to $1, and now
Yep.
it's ridiculous. Like it's
Mm.
I don't even know what it is now, but I know that it's because I remember thinking, I wonder if I should invest in the peso because Mexico has so many resources.
Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
know the other part of that story.
Let me just see here. Here's the Mexican peso futures sitting at 17 right now. Oh, 17,000. 17,000 Mexican pesos for a US dollar.
Yeah, that I knew it was something ridiculous, but I didn't know it was that high. That's really high. Well, I'm glad I didn't invest in that then.
Yeah.
I wasn't an investor, but I thought, oh, that would, because they were starting to like really grow as a country in the 60s. This was like,
Here we go. Here's a chart showing here's a chart showing the full since 1989. Let me go back to the thing. I don't have my two screens, so I'm a little bit slower on the uptake. There we go. All right, so back down here, this was 266, 270 back in 1990. And now it's 539% more. So 5x inflation. It's funny how these metaverses they're just arbitrarily chosen to have a value. And then people fight over whose is more. No, our country, it's worth more than that. What? Soon the veil will be lifted.
the impact of the US on the world just financially. I mean, think of how you had, like, say, and maybe my memory is not, but let's just say 8 pesos to $1. And now it's 17,000 pesos to $1. What does that do to the standard of living? To the, what does that do? I mean, in any country or Iran, same thing. What does that do to the whole daily life of people? And
Well, to give you an example, to give you an idea, 600,000 Iraqi children died within the first 3 years because they didn't have good water. That's the consequences.
Oh, my computer is still having a delay. Isn't that interesting? I didn't notice it till right now you were talking, and I could read your lips.
Oh, really?
I mean, that's beyond heartbreak. I can hardly let that in.
It's devastating.
Yeah.
And this is exactly why there are resets. And whenever there's a reset, only one win. It's either the people. What's that?
Isn't Jesus supposed to come in when we need him the most, like right now? Oracle Girl has said, now it's not about somebody saving you. It's about you making the choice.
Yes. Well, and I think that's a big reason why I like the message that Jesus had, which was the kingdom, where you truly are a citizen with all of the rights that you want is inside you. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to move. You don't have to do anything. You are already there by nature. We are the royalty. We truly are. From that creator's perspective, we are the royalty. God is the grantor of the life force energy, the only equity that you have when you arrive here. Life force energy. That's it. That's all you've got. That's all you'll ever have. And in that trust, since he's the grantor, that creator is the grantor, that all spark. And that makes you the trustee.
It's just interesting that the acronym would be Life Force Energy, LFE. I just think that's,
yeah.
I mean, that just woke up in me. Life. Oh.
That's right. Oh, you're muted again, Maureen.
I said, it's very cool here today, so I'm going to go and water and pull some weeds.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I get to be out there.
Yep.
And we'll see. I'll keep you updated on the water project. So it's another person who comes over and offers her life force energy, freely given, And so we'll see how this works out. And I said, oh, then you can take some of the water and you can feed your ducks. She has ducks and chickens and dogs and all kinds of animals over at her house. Then, we'll see, how this will work out, how we can share this, how we can be cooperative in this. So it's another experiment, another opportunity, maybe, who knows? And I said to her, let's no pushing anything. Let's just see how it arises with some kind of, really wanting to be in community together kind of thing. So she's just a little sweetheart. And I love it that I get to play with all these young women. And I'm very grateful for that. I get to be a grandmother. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Zoa, see you later, alligator. See you Sunday.
She messaged saying that she had to duck out.
Oh, okay. All right. Take care.
Wonderful.
And I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah,
Thanks
you bet.
for your insight.
Have a good rest of the day, everybody.